What is going on, y'all? So today we got a very special guest. His name's Darren Canning. He's all the way up in Canada, and I'm super excited to have another fellow artist coming in, joining. And as you can see, I'm just working on making this canvas a black canvas by using just black acrylics and water. And a really quick drying paint. If you're trying to make a black canvas cheaper than you can buy them, I highly recommend just going to the store, buying a big tube of permanent black acrylic paint. It's it's a wonder worker. Saves you so much money, and it'll go a long ways. Like last night, I was on a 24 by 36 canvas. Yeah, I'll actually show y'all. It's that big one right there. That one. I was actually painting that one for about 3 hours. There was just a lot, and I was using this brush. So I'm actually going to have to invest in getting myself one of those bigger. What are they called? 2-inch brushes. I was using a palette knife and then this to spread it, but I highly recommend just getting a big brush. Don't waste your time or your money on just using a smaller brush. And without any further ado, I'm going to bring in our guest, Darren, and he's all the way from Canada. Give him a big welcome. Shoot us any comments you have. We'll get to them as soon as possible as we see them. All right, Darren, you're on.
Yeah, I'm just sharing this out.
Go for it.
Trying to get it to my page. Hey guys, how you doing? I am, as he said, all the way in Canada, but some of you probably are too. So, and you're all the way in Texas. Is that where you live?
Actually, I'm just from Texas, but I'm currently stationed in Florida.
Oh yeah. Do you know that your painting already looks like a bear? Look at that. You see the bear in that?
Is it sideways? I'm not seeing it.
See the head on the top? Its head is facing up. The ears in the back. The nose is in the front part of the top part of the painting.
Right here? The nose?
There you go. So you've painted an animal today.
Let me get rid of that real quick. I don't paint animals too well. The last time I tried painting a cow, it turned into a pig.
Man, I made a lot of money off cows. Cows, when you do them right, you make them funny, people love them.
I'll have.
This is what I'm gonna be doing something like today. It's a bear and water. You're frozen. You still there? I don't know if he's there or not. Either that or I'm frozen. Yeah, he froze. I don't know if you guys can still see me, but I can't see him, and I don't know if you're there. So hopefully he'll be back. Woo! Well, I'm going to be painting a bear. Thank you, Lord. He froze, completely froze. He'll be back in. Hello to Jared's audience. He's a great artist. And I've been painting for about 20 years now. Before that, I used to draw faces when I was a child. So now I draw a lot of my art. I have about 150 paintings that are in the basement here. Many of them are animals, landscapes, but I love faces. I love wild faces. So I'm hoping he's going to be back on here again in a second, guys, because sometimes the app that we use for these things, it makes you jump off and back on. So he'll probably be back here in a second. Whew, I've had this happen many times. But I like good paints. I use stuff like this. You can get much better. But this paint here, can you see that? It's Winsor and Newton. It's like more expensive than the entry level, but it's not as expensive as some of the paints that I use. But for good quality paint that spreads, this is a good one. And it spreads real good on your canvas. This is my money-making board right here. This is a standard 16 by 20 board. And that's what I use all the time for my art when I want to sell. These are I sell these. I've sold about 1,000 paintings like this one right here. So it's my go-to board for painting this size, 16 by 20. And they're cheap. You can buy those for like $16. You can go to Hobby Lobby in the United States and get 5 of those for $10. So if you want to keep your costs down, buy it in bulk like that. But I don't limit myself to that. What I do is I paint a lot like this, and then I paint a lot of big boards because there's always somebody who wants a bigger painting. But this is my go-to size right here. What size is yours? 16 by 20 as well?
Mine is actually a 11 by 14. I'm currently out of my 16 by 20s. It's just real close.
Similar size, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I always, because I do faces and animals a lot, I usually do this way. If I was doing a landscape, I might go that way more. But portraits or animals, I like doing it up like this.
I love landscapes. Those are my passion.
Yeah,
I grew up around. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, one of my first teachers, she was a landscape artist. She could do absolutely everything, but one of her biggest sell points was her landscapes. And
landscapes sell real easy. People love them. What doesn't sell real easy, but is my favorite thing to paint is faces. If you go to, I've painted all over the world. I've been to 16 countries painting. When I go to Korea, they absolutely love faces. So when I go over there, I'll paint probably 70% of my paintings will be faces.
Wow.
But in America, they like animals and they like landscapes. So that's what I focus on. You got to know your audience.
This is true.
And another thing is you have to paint in every color because not everybody likes green, not everybody likes orange, not everybody likes red. So I've learned to paint in every color and learning the colors that go with those colors so that if I got 10 paintings in a room when I sell, there's every color you can imagine, and there's going to be somebody who likes one of those colors. So they will all sell because you're hitting everybody's favorite color.
That is true. So how did you figure out which colors went together? Did you take an art school or something, or what?
No, I was never in art school. I can't say that was a natural thing for me. I learned that by the color wheel and by studying about it. I studied 1,000 paintings. I mean, I've studied thousands and thousands of paintings and saw what other artists did. But then I began to understand the science of art. There's a science behind all this. This is not, when a person looks at a painting, they're drawn to certain patterns.
Yeah.
And so once you begin to learn the patterns, it's like anything. And even a movie. And movies are all about patterns. Or photography, there's laws and there's rules within it. Once you learn the laws and the rules, it gets a lot easier to produce,
I've never actually thought about those laws and rules. I kind of defied them a lot of times. I just painted.
Well, you learn the rules to break them.
Oh, wait. No, actually, I take that back. I did learn a lot about perspective and chiaroscuro, which is like differences in values and lights and darks. So that was for a very short time, though. That was for about maybe a year and maybe a few months with a couple very, very skilled artists in Texas.
I'll be right back. I got to get my cloth. I'll be right back.
Go right ahead. Got a lot of vibrant colors. So one of the things about his paintings that I've noticed is he uses some very, very vibrant colors. And they're very pure. He doesn't muddy a lot of them up either. And I love that about a lot of his artwork. One of the things that, actually, one of my favorite paintings that he's done is a landscape. And hey, Lucas, it's awesome to see you. Thanks for joining. One of these days, I'll get you on here. Get you your palette and canvas and stuff. Maybe have a multiple collaboration going on there. Get the Canadians and the Texans together. Get Mark Redner in here too.
Well, Mark can paint.
Yeah, I know.
He doesn't paint a lot, but his mother is a professional artist.
Really? I did not know that.
She taught me a lot.
She let's see, you're not in Ontario, are you? Or Toronto?
Again?
Ontario.
I didn't hear you.
Oh, are you in Ontario, Canada?
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. So is that where you and Mark are both from?
Mark and I have been friends for 16 years.
Yeah.
He was my pastor for 15 years.
Oh, no kidding.
And I came back to the Lord underneath his ministry. So that's how Mark and I know each other.
I did not know that. I'd heard your testimony a couple times, but I didn't know that he was your pastor. Or maybe it just escaped me because I didn't know who he was.
People are always trying to get me to do what I'm doing here today, but
What, just paint?
It took you to get me to do it.
Wow.
I literally have about 200 tubes of paint right here.
Oh, yeah?
And the reason for that is because every time I travel, I don't bring anything with me, and I buy all my supplies wherever I land. So I always come home with like hundreds of dollars worth of paint. But this is not, for me, this is a career. I will make 30, 40,000 each year on art.
That's really good.
So this is why, once it becomes like a job, very different. I got about 10 easels in here. I've got
You got 10 easels? Let me see that.
All around.
That's crazy.
There's all going back to the back part of my room here. You'll see in the back corner, there's about 150 paintings back there that are the Lord told me to store them. And up on the shelves, you'll see there's paintings all along the shelves. So this is my man cave right here. This is where I produce my broadcast, is over in that corner. And here is where I have my art set up. So I'm actually building a studio now in the backyard where I'm going to have one half of it as an art studio and the other half as the broadcast studio.
Well, that sounds just perfect. You should. I'm surprised you haven't done art broadcasts before.
Well, I will if I can get it set up good,
I mean, I only have limited resources, and I started it this year when a certain circumstance took place, and I actually got back into art once again. I'd painted for maybe 20 years or drawn. I've been an artist for 20 years. Then I just gave it up when I joined the military.
Oh, you're in the military?
Almost gave it up. Yeah,
I've been painting. I've been painting since I was 30 years old. But I was an artist when I was 16. But I used to do charcoal. And
charcoal.
I was completely all faces when I was young. And then when I hit 30, I went through a crisis in my life where I ended up trying to commit suicide one time and ended up in a hospital where they taught me art therapy. And all of a sudden, the art began to take over, and I began to paint. So now at this point, I've painted 2,000 paintings. I can't stop. This is like an obsession.
It really is. It's very therapeutic. And then when you get onto it, you're like, I got to finish it. I can't stop.
And it's one of those things you can do in almost every part of your life.
Exactly.
You don't have to be young, and you don't have to be old. You can do it anytime.
Exactly.
There's always an audience for your art. There will always be someone who understands it, who gets it.
I found
if they don't,
good.
I couldn't care less. To be honest. If they like it, great. If they don't, whatever. I actually like I'm just as I like the bad reactions as well as the good ones, to be honest. An artist just wants to be seen. They don't care about the reaction. Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense. I understand that.
I had one lady one time I was painting in Alberta, at a church, and I always sell paintings in my meetings,
Mm-hmm.
And I painted 6 paintings in 2 hours. An older lady comes in, she looks at the art, she goes, "Oh my God, I hate this art." Just like the, and I said, "That's okay, lady. They'll all sell before the night's over." I made $900 on those paintings, and she absolutely hated them.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Oh man, maybe I need to start doing those little Bob Ross speed paintings. I love taking my.
You know that Van Gogh and Monet often painted their paintings in 20 minutes.
No.
You do that?
No, I didn't. I didn't actually. So, thing about me, I'm bad with history and names and numbers.
I've trained a lot of artists. I've trained a lot of artists, about 400 or 500 artists. And one of the things that I always train them to do is paint fast. Because the faster you paint, the more money you'll make on your art. Not that that's important, but if you're going to do this as a career, then you need to be able to crack them out quicker, and a good quality, of course. But I taught somebody in Australia to paint like that, and before you know it, they were making thousands of dollars off their art real fast. And exciting. When you start selling your art like that, it's very exciting,
It really is. I only recently started selling a lot of my works, like really, really quickly. Most of my works that I've sold, though, have been a little bit higher up on the prices.
Yeah.
But thinking about doing like 2 forms of painting, like, hey Victoria, it's good to see you. Hey Sheila.
Well, I do 2 kinds of art. The stuff that I'm doing here, and what I do like in meetings and stuff like that, it's like the quick stuff, fast. And then when I'm home in my studio, I craft it more. You know what I mean? I put more time into it. They'll take 2, 3, 4 hours for some of those paintings, but and then they'll sell for higher prices, or they don't sell at all. That's the way it is. Or I give them the places that can hang them and display them for me.
I've actually got a few places that I was looking to do it. Like, one of the places was the mental hospital that I was recently a patient of.
Yeah.
I actually, not unlike yourself, had wanted to commit suicide, but I had a mentor at the time that had, he talked me out of it because I had a lot of marital stuff going on, and it was not a good time. And he was like, go get yourself checked in, go get diagnosed, go get some benefits from the military, get yourself taken care of. Whenever they're done with you, they're done with you, and you'll be okay once you're out. I was like, okay. So I did. I met some of the people that I've actually become closest to in there.
Right.
Box in the box of another time. Let's see. Where is my palette knife? Here we go.
And if anybody wants to know what I'm doing, what I play with is contrast and light.
I love that.
That's the way I like painting the most, is studying the way the light hits objects and then taking the shadows, pulling the shadows out of the art with color. And so then that's how I paint. So when I'm feeling the shadows and then pulling the colors out of the shadows, you know what I mean? The shadow is not necessarily black. Everybody thinks when they start painting that the shadow is black, but really what happens is light refracts around a color. So a yellow, when the light refracts around the yellow, purple is actually the shadow color. And when light refracts around the purple, then yellow is the shadow color. So you have to learn that in order to be able to get the contrast down a lot better.
This is true. One of the
For those who are new out there. I can't find my favorite colors because I haven't been in this studio for a while.
Well, I'm glad I got you in there.
You got me back in here.
You needed to be in there. Can't keep an artist away from his studio this long.
Well, I had put my what happened was I created my broadcast studio in the space of my art.
Yeah.
So I had to, and that was for a valid reason. But, and I'm a messy artist, so I didn't want to ruin another part of my basement.
Oh, I hear that. I'm wearing my paint 95% of the time.
That's right. I got my favorite clothes on here now that I think about it, so we might be in trouble today.
That sounds like it was a mistake.
Well, it's what happens when you haven't painted for a while. You forgot.
This is true. I dig that bandana. I told you earlier, but I don't know if you heard it. I really like the bandana.
Well, it stops the glare from the bald head on the camera.
No. Is that seriously a thing?
No, I'm teasing.
Just remind, have you ever seen SpongeBob? This is so super random, but have you ever seen SpongeBob?
I'm a bit older, but I never appreciated SpongeBob. I'll be honest.
I didn't either, but there was one thing that got me is when this king, he came in and I think his name was Poseidon or something, but he came in and he takes off his crown and he's bald, and all the fish, their eyes just get bulging out of their skulls, and they're like, bald, bald. They start pointing and screaming, and then he puts it back on, and they're silent. He takes it off, they start screaming, puts it back on, they're silent.
That's funny.
That's kind of what that reminded me of.
God, for me, when I get paint and I start praying a lot, and I start feeling the presence of God a lot. So it's an awesome spot to be in, you know.
It's one of the most peaceful places too. You can get quiet. And just do what you love doing. And then he's right there with you doing it.
That's right. He's helping.
No joke there. Like,
I actually one time was painting and my hand will go like this. I'll make a funny move like that. And one time when I did that, I was doing an eagle about 48 inches by 36 inches, a great big painting. I brought it to a church. There was 150 people in the church. And suddenly somebody goes, "There's the manger scene in the middle of the painting." And I never intentionally did that at all. But in the middle of the painting, here was Mary and Joseph holding Jesus inside of a manger with the wise men, and the sheep were around about the manger.
Yeah.
We were all shocked. The whole church went, "Oh!"
Oh man, that's awesome. I think I've had that happen maybe once or twice. And it was when I was learning.
Well, now you got to unlearn and do it again.
Yeah, you're probably right. Who was your biggest inspiration while you were developing as an artist?
I never really feel like I'm not developing as an artist. There's always another artist that inspires me. But like I just showed you, Marc Chagall, he's been my inspiration last year and a half. Before that would have been Van Gogh, of course, Monet. We have in Canada my art, my nature, the one that, you know, that landscape that you really like, the mine.
I love that one. That's probably my favorite by you.
So that one, when I was 30 years old, I went into the National Art Gallery of Canada And there was an artist in there, a part of what was a famous Canadian school of artists called the Group of Seven. And his name was Tom Thompson. And he painted like that. And so for 16 years, I saw that painting in the art gallery. I wasn't even a painter. But when I saw that painting, I went, I can do it. And it took 16 years to do it.
Do that
So same kind of painting. Another time, I like doing candles. I paint pictures of people holding the candle in their hand.
Yeah.
I was in another art gallery, saw a painting like that where a person was holding a candle and the light was shining off their face. And I thought, I've got to paint this. And it took me 15 years to learn how to do it. Mm-hmm. So art gets into you and you don't even realize it, but you're actually studying inside, and not even like consciously, but there's an interior process that's taking place for you to learn what you need to learn to do what is inside of you. And so each artist has like a grid of art that they need to produce, and their entire lives becomes the process of doing that art.
I hear that. That's like me, and I don't know. I've had a thing with like night scenes and water. Water's like one of my favorite things to paint. Hence the Stillwater Gallery, part of my business name that I developed with Josh McQuinn. I think it's is it McQuinn or McQuinn? I don't know.
I love your landscape. Your landscapes are awesome.
I actually was inspired by an artist. Now, she was actually the first person to teach me to paint. I would not touch a brush until I absolutely was forced to. And back in high school, my freshman year, I was forced to. First day, came in, had to paint a chicken. And I was like, I don't want to paint chickens. I want to paint faces. I want to get good at. I'm not unlike yourself. I was like, and I was very vocal about it. And I was like, I don't want to paint that. She's like, well, you're gonna. And I was like, okay. I guess I'm gonna. And I painted it, and it turned out half decent. And then she's like, all right, now you get to pick your subject for a rodeo art contest. I was like, what? I've painted one painting. How am I going to do that? She's like, figure it out. We're gonna pick all of these Western scenes. This is Texas, so you get to do rodeo art. So I was like,
yeah, of course.
I don't even know what I'm going to paint. Then I saw a donkey. I was like, that's what I'm going to paint. And I saw this picture. She's got this picture of a donkey with a fence, and it had half of its body just missing. So I was like, I'm not having half a donkey painted into my painting. So I photoshopped it in back in 2009 when we first started developing Photoshop.
Right. Yeah.
And I completely made up an entire booty end of a donkey and started graphing it in, putting it all on very calculated wise on a 16 by 20 standing upwards. So I guess it was a 20 by 16. And oh shoot, some of the comments have been asking what we're painting. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to be painting, but it's going to be a night scene. I've got acrylic black already put on the canvas. I'm just waiting for it to dry. Once it's completely dry, that's when I'll come back with some blue paint, oil paint. And what I'm doing is just priming it, is what it's called. It's an undercoat, so that when you put it on the blue, you get to see the black shine through it when it's real thin. And then I'm going to take, once that's all on there and thinned down and blended in, I'm going to take some white paint on a 1-inch brush. I actually got my official Bob Ross brush here. I'm going to take that. I'm going to go in circles in a crisscross motion, but I'm going to kind of go around it in a circle and just rotate in and out. And then I'm going to leave some spots completely black, so that, or completely black and blue, so that the contrast really pulls out. So I'll just give an example of the end results of one of my experiments on this. And this was a God thing right here. I still can't replicate this. This is my one of my most recent paintings. This one was the result of that. So I started right here. I started here on the moon, and I worked in a circle around it. But with these mountains here, I kind of left these mountains really dark. I didn't touch it with the white brush. I didn't touch it with the 1-inch brush. So I would work in a circle around and around and around and outward until it just fades away. That's how you get that glowing look. And I went all the way through here, even right down, doing that glowing technique. And I'll show y'all exactly what I'm doing later on. And Darren's already seen this one. I think he commented on it.
Yeah, I love it.
Canada.
It actually looks like around here.
I've never actually been to Canada.
If you go outside of my house at night, that's what it looks like.
Oh, that's super cool. I'm glad I could actually do that. I just made it up. Like 95% of my paintings, I just make up because I like being creative. I'll do paintings that I see, like pictures that I see, if it's real special, or if I'm getting hired for a good reason or for a good amount of cash. Either way. But I typically don't like that. I like being creative. I like doing my own thing. And,
I hate it when people ask me to paint something. I'm like, I actually got to the point where I said no. Now I'll say no, I can't do that for you because it can kill your creativity.
It does.
Yeah.
And
They'll say, I love your paintings. Can you paint this? I'll say no, but if you love my paintings, buy one of the ones that I painted.
Oh man, that's funny. All right.
Yeah, think about it, right? Now you want me to work for like 40 hours to make a couple $100? I don't think so.
Mm-mm. See, I've have got an hourly rate going with that, so I can trump that system. So I got my base rate, and then I've got the hourly rate right along with it because I've actually had it to where customers will take advantage of that just flat rate, and I'm like, I could be spending hours and hours, and you'll start complaining. Yeah. But what I'm going to do is absolutely worth the money. It's making a memory for you. It's making something that you can take along with you for years at a time and pass down to your kids. I take my art very seriously. I love it. A lot of my art I don't even like to give away or sell. Like, I'll give an example. My first painting, or my second painting, the donkey I told you, I actually named it after the biblical donkey that talked. I called it the Valkyr, Haman's donkey, or Balaam's donkey. That's it. I actually named it after that. I called it the Valkyr. It was a very nice Western Texas scene, and I had a donkey just right up in the front. It was purple and blue. It looked like a Monet. I can show you later, but it was very colorful. And when I finished it, I was like, I don't know how I feel about it. And then I ended up winning that contest, that road art contest. I was shocked. My teacher came up and she was like, hey, Jared, you need to see this. I was like, see what? That I lost? And she's like, come look. And I saw this. I went up and it said, Jared Schoenfeld, Grand Champion Rodeo Art Contest in 2009, I think it was. And I was like, So I walked away and then I came back and I was like, nope, I saw that right.
That's exciting.
It was. That painting ended up selling for $1,500.
Oh man, that's good stuff there.
At an auction. It was 100% a God thing. I had a very good teacher. Even though we butted heads, like I still keep in contact with her now. She's an inspiration to me. Her colors is actually the inspiration. Like her color scheme, very vibrant, good contrasts. It looks almost photographic sometimes. She's an impressionistic artist, which means you see indications of things.
Are you using,
I'm using oil.
No, the tool you're using there.
Oh, it's a palette knife. It's a very big one. So what I'm doing is I'm scraping it on there, I'm flattening it on there, and then I'm scraping it off. And it leaves a very thin layer on there. So it looks almost black. I'll show y'all real soon what it looks like. Love that. That's amazing. Let's scroll through the comments. I have one of Darren's paintings, and it scares my family. It's a man face with the mouth of a
I
lion.
get that all the time. I get that. People always say that. I have one lady got one of my paintings. She said, this painting terrifies me, but I've got to buy it. I mean, think about it. But I think there's this drawn into. I mean, one of my favorite paintings was Scream by Munch. You know that painting?
Really?
Yeah. I mean, the guy painted something that just connected to the person, to the emotion of the heart. Yeah. And so what I'm doing is I'm painting the emotions, and that's why people will even buy those ones that they call scary, because it's actually representing some emotions that they have inside. You know what I mean? And it may not be enjoyed by everybody, because not everybody wants to have that emotion.
Exactly. That's true. I've had some real creepy paintings, and then people will walk up to me or call me, and they're like, "Your painting looks demonic." I'm like, "No." And then somebody else will walk up, and they'll be like, "That painting speaks to me. I must have it."
I've actually painted hell.
That's
here. Interesting that you should, because I put this painting up, felt like I had to. This one right here, look.
Yeah. Oh wow.
See the one behind me?
Yeah, that's creepy.
But look at the colors.
Yeah, that's real eerie looking colors.
But that's my face after I saw hell. I mean, you just don't want to see it. But there's an emotion you capture, and when you capture the emotion, everybody can feel it. So I'm trying to capture feeling, but I felt that I was supposed to put that painting up there for you all to see. But it's not one I will sell. I don't think I would sell it, because it's one of those. I've got a lot of paintings here that are mine. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I've got a couple of those. Like here, I'm gonna get up real quick, and I'm gonna show y'all what I'm talking about. I've got one of those paintings that Darren's talking about that is not going to be sold. This one's a gift for my wife. She doesn't even know I painted it.
What is it? Let me see. Oh, you don't have it there.
It's if you watched the stream that I did with Nick Sarah, or goodness, Sarah. There we go. It's got the rolling R.
I don't see it.
Oh, you don't see it because I haven't turned around the camera. Here we go. Oh goodness, I'm gonna have to get this right. Camera. Let me flip it around. This always gets me. This part always gets me. I can't figure out the settings for the camera. You know, we're just going to do this selfie style. Here we go. Welcome to my gallery. As you can see, I have one painting that's going to be lopsided because I can't figure out how to do things backwards. This is a 48 by 60 canvas. So this is almost as tall as me if you turn it sideways. Goodness. There we go. Nope, that's upside down. I'm so sorry, people. You're going to have to bear with me and suffer through this. And my shaky left hand. But I've got the sky, and I've got a big ocean scene. And it took me probably about 20 hours to do. And it's probably the most thick textured painting I've ever done. But it's kind of surreal as well. I was planning on,
no, it's beautiful. It looks like sky too.
It is. It's sky and the ocean. It's crashing waves. Whenever I was on Nick's stream doing a paint and jam session, he was doing a midnight worship session.
Oh!
session.
My paint exploded onto my clothes. I told you it would happen.
Hey, now you know he's a true artist. He's wearing it. But I painted this with Nick Serre, and
you're on with Nick.
Yeah, I was live with Nick, and when he started going fast, my brush would go right along with it and go faster. And I was planning on painting like a big mountain or a big rolling hill scene with bright yellows and stuff, and then God was like, "Nope, you're doing ocean waves." I'm like, "I don't want to do ocean waves. This is for my wife. She wanted that." He was like, "Nope." So he turned it right around, and he did ocean waves with it, and I didn't have a say, other than the cloud. Ugh. Let me get back up before I lose feeling on my left leg. I was sitting on it. Yeah. All right. There we go. Got it. So y'all, anytime y'all are trying to make a canvas or you're trying to do a night scene, I recommend highly doing black canvases, like putting the acrylic black paint, permanent black, doing strictly ultramarine blue. I mean, you can do phthalo blue, but I recommend ultramarine because it's a little toned down, and you can get the reds in there a little bit better, and it won't fight the reds. That's the thing. You don't want them to fight too hard. You want your reds to be a little bit dominant, because at night, most of your shadows are going to be red, or very, very dark reds, browns. They're going to be warmer colors, like browns and purples and reds. And by warm, I just mean temperature-wise, like almost like a fire. And I found this out by one of my former teachers named Virginia. As a matter of fact, one of these days I'll get her on. Maybe we can have a gathering of the artists on broadcast. And whenever you get all your blues on there and you cover it up, ooh. So I've already gone a little bit crazy with the blues, but you want to make sure it's thinned down just enough to where you can take a brush like a 2-inch and spread it and thin it out to where the black shows through, but the blue is still somewhat prominent. So, hence me taking the flat of my blade and just dragging it down to where it makes a scraping noise. And it's real, real thin after you pull it off. You can even drag it sideways, and that takes off even more paint. But once you've made sure all of it's thinned down to the consistency that you want, because you want it to be thinned enough to blend when you have your white paint on there. Here. You want it to have that glowing effect, especially on night scenes. Night scenes are my favorites right now. I've had like volcanic obsessions occasionally. Then waterfalls were a small season, and right now I'm kind of on the night stretch. There's something about the night that just draws me, and even a few of my friends. Go ahead. You sound like you needed to say something, Darren. Oh, guess not. Maybe it was just part of it. Have you ever heard of Dalhart Winberg?
Is it an artist?
He is an artist. He's a Texan artist.
Say the name again.
Dalhart Winberg.
No.
Well, one of my favorite things about his paintings are the night scenes. 2:49 a.m. here in Oz art class. OZ, is that Australia? Linda Edwards. I don't know. Shoot. Love ocean waves. Thank you, Tina. Ocean waves are awesome. I've got a few of them back at the house. I could actually show y'all if y'all haven't already gone to my art page. I'll put it on the link later for y'all so y'all can take a look. But I had a splurge of ocean wave paintings. I did one of them that I didn't actually enjoy it until I had finished it and looked at it a month later. It was very
common.
It is.
That happens to me all the time.
Yeah.
I'll even sometimes hide it so I can't see it.
That's what I did. It's in my closet. I did that exact same thing. It's hiding in my.
I sometimes hate my paintings when I first do them, and then I know I'm going to like them. I know that something's going to shift. I know that now, but there's something about it in the beginning that just throws me off. But then I come back and I look at it. Sometimes only a couple days later.
Mm-hmm.
And then I love it. And sometimes we're trying to reproduce something we've already done, and it's pretty impossible to reproduce a painting you've done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's exactly accurate. Like for instance, this painting, I really wanted to reproduce it, and I couldn't. It's a one-time done deal. It's gorgeous and it's mysterious. And whenever, for example, I painted the other one, I'll bring it in. I painted the other one. It had all sorts of details in it that I just felt like I overworked it, and I was like, I'm not a fan of this. 2 days later, I'm looking at it, and I'm like, I actually love this, but it's different. It's mysterious. It's dark. It's almost realistic. I've done a few of those paintings where I was trying to imitate another one.
I've actually painted the same painting 30 times.
Really?
There was one time I was in Korea, and I was in a huge church, about 300 people, and they all liked the same painting. So I went home that night and reproduced it 9 times.
Oh my goodness.
Sold it 9 times in the one church.
That's awesome.
It was a face of Jesus.
Wow. How long did it take you to paint the face initially?
The first one took me 10 minutes.
What?
That's what's insulting. You know what I mean? Sometimes the work that you do that takes the less time is the ones that people love the most. And the ones that you work really hard on, they don't even care for. Creativity is like that.
Yeah.
It's like doing TikTok videos. The ones that people like the most, you never even thought it was going to get any views.
Yes. I do remember some of the YouTube videos like going that way. And I remember a real famous musician group. I think it was Queen actually. Bohemian Rhapsody. I think they said they didn't even like the song. Or maybe it might be another group. I might be entirely off, but it was a very famous group whose song was really popular. And they said they hated the song and they didn't think it was going to go anywhere. It became world famous within days.
That's right. And creativity is like that. It's like it can be frustrating, but it's exciting too, you know?
It is very exciting. one of my favorite things to do is just paint something that I've never painted before and just see how it'll turn out. Like, for instance, I imagined what it would be like to be on a river right in between, or sorry, not a river, on a mountain with a couple waterfalls. And it was like I was looking out onto the onto this gigantic mountain range with a bunch of fog and mist just poking up these mountains just above the cloud line. And it was nothing like I'd ever done. It was a first. And I was like, you know what? This is it's pretty sweet how it's turned out. And a lot of the time spent on it was just like, okay, how is this going to shape? And what colors is the light going to be? Is the light going to be looking at? Because light reflects off of snow, it reflects off of precipitation and clouds and stuff. So I had to consider all those things while I'm being creative. And I'm sure you've had similar situations all the time. Like you were saying before the broadcast, you would really consider where the light strikes on a lot of your things, and you love playing around with that.
Yeah.
So for those of y'all that are watching, what I'm doing is I'm just blending all the brush strokes out because I'm just trying to get it real smooth and flat. And when you do the crisscross strokes, one problem you'll run into, I actually recently discovered this, and it took me 2 paintings to figure it out. But whenever you do those crisscross strokes, and it's real thick and it's oil paint, it'll have a glare, and you got to be careful about that. The way to get rid of that is by taking your brush and blending it upwards, like just pulling out the strokes, just like this, just quick pulls, just like that, and do it throughout the entire canvas, and it just completely negates it most of the time. Oh boy. Said, Brother Darren, what are those paintings? There's Tina.
Just guess. Guess what the paintings are. Some people take art way too seriously too.
Mm-hmm.
Woo! Thank you, Lord.
Yeah.
And they'll say, I don't see that in there. I remember one time somebody said, can I buy that painting of your pig? And I went, yeah, you can have that. And I said, how much do you want to pay for it? And they gave me a price. That's great. Thank you. When they left, it wasn't a pig I painted at all, but that's what they saw. So I figured.
Let them have it.
Oh, you gotta laugh, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
That was not a pig, but if you want to call that a pig and pay me for it, you can have the pig.
That's a good pig right there. That's too funny. That reminds me of a painting of, yeah, I told you about this one before we were on broadcast. I was painting a cow for my wife, and she's like, I want a cow. And I'm like, I don't want to paint a cow. She's like, paint me a cow. I was like, okay, fine. And I painted the cow. And I was like, I don't think this is a cow. She's like, why'd you paint me a pig? You asked for it. I told you I couldn't paint animals.
It's true.
Unless I've got sprayed drawn out. I even posted up on Facebook a while ago. I was like, hey, what do y'all think the title of this should be? Bacon or steak? everybody commented bacon. I was like, there we have it. I can't stand animals.
Oh.
I'll draw it prior.
Another time I was in Australia.
Yeah.
And I totally wrecked the painting. So what I did was I took one of those palette knives. I scraped all the paint off it, And when I looked at it, I went, wow. There was like something to it. There was an emotion that was produced through the scraping off of the paint. So I took another palette and I put red paint on it. Went splat, splat. I signed it and put it off to the side. And my friend comes in. She goes, "Oh, mate, would you like me to throw this one out for you because you ruined it?" I said, "No." I said, "That'll sell. That'll sell tonight." She goes, "Mate, that will not sell." I said, "That will sell tonight." I brought it to the meeting. There was 2 women fighting over who was going to buy it. They were literally fighting. I had another painting I did in Korea one time, and it was I just painted a man having an encounter at night, like an angel appeared, but it was a candle in his hand, and his face was glowing. And somebody said, "Well, that's Jesus." I thought that I never painted that being Jesus. In my mind, that was not Jesus. You know what I mean? But 2 like Presbyterian pastors loved that painting so much they got into a fight in front of a congregation about who was going to get it.
Oh wow!
So all of a sudden, that became the paint. That was the Jesus painting. I ended up painting that one 6 or 7 times.
Oh goodness!
You just gotta laugh. I don't take it too seriously, but the emotion, the people, when they feel that,
yeah,
you got them. You've actually done something that, and that's what I'm trying. That's what I'm after, is just to create the emotion, somehow the emotion that they can connect with in the piece, so that they will want it.
I just had an idea.
What?
I just had an idea. So usually what I do is I'll just show you what I do whenever you're done. What I would usually do is I would take a big glop of white paint, just like I got on this brush right here. It's on a 1-inch brush, just big enough to where you can get it everywhere, but small enough to where it won't cover the whole canvas. But what I typically do is I go into one spot, like right here, and then I kind of crisscross around it and leave little dark spots around as well. So, and then I would kind of move it. Yeah, it's just similar to a moon, but not quite. This is like the glowing area around it. But I would also, here we go. We'll have a little shiny area right down here. I'll have multiple sections painted and glowing like this, and it's real thick. And then what you do is you come back with a 2-inch brush, just like so, and you'll do crisscross strokes over the whole thing and just blend it out to where it'll look like it's glowing. And then you do that same thing, just crisscross them. Then kind of pull them, just pull the sides after you've blended it. And then it kind of softens it and turns it a little bit more blue. So, thank you, Linda. Once you've softened it, you go back and do it again over the same areas, so it just really glows. Well, what I had in my mind was, instead of layering it with like a dark blue like I have right here, I was planning on I had this just pop in my mind this will be my next painting. I had done a black canvas with a similar undercoat, except it was enough to turn the sky pink. I don't know. Does that make sense? Like almost like a bloody blood red or a pink. and then have the same reflection on the water. It just popped in my mind, so I'm gonna have to do that on a future painting. I have these.
I love the pink idea.
Pink. It just. I don't know what it is about the pink, but it's gonna be good once I get with it. That just takes taking like a crimson or maybe a purple type undercoating. I'm not entirely sure how I'm gonna go. Okay, so instead of using my yellows to make it orange, I'll just take a white, just like I'm doing with the blue, crimson underpainting, and then go white. Then you got your pinks, and you're gonna make the whole sky glow pink, and then maybe an area under with water. Yes, it does. Try it. Hold up. I would love to see those piggies. Jared, maybe if you paint a pig, it will look like a cow. That's not nice. But it's probably true. Maybe I should do that. Reverse psychology. Good thinking. Oh, man. The viewers are having a heyday in the comments.
The haters?
No, heyday. The viewers, they're having a heyday. They're having fun. They're making fun of my inability to paint animals properly. They turn into animals that they are not. They're making a comment. You remember how I said my cow turned into a pig? They're like, maybe if you paint a pig, it'll turn into a cow. I was like, that's probably true. And that is hilarious. Here we go. So, you know what? I actually want this to blend back just a little bit more. So I want to soften it up. So I'm going to hit it. Just kind of blend it out a little bit more. And I'm intentionally leaving these areas real dark, y'all, because I want them to pop later. I know that a lot of higher level masters will say you don't want it to pop, but I disagree.
That's the great thing about being an artist. You can disagree.
Exactly.
You don't have to be like everybody else.
Exactly. Don't be like everyone else. Do what you want to do. Paint like you. When you paint like you enjoy it the most. And I'm sure my former teacher will probably come back and watch this, so I'm going to be very careful about how I word this. But we butted heads a lot. Like I was that one guy in the class who would always do what I wanted to do, but I would try to take away what she told me and use it.
And yet you and her are still connected, and the other ones, she doesn't even know who they are anymore.
Yeah, this is very true. She's such a sweet lady, and she still teaches me stuff that I've never even considered, and it's ridiculous how much knowledge she has. But whenever I was with her, there were a few times that we had verbal disagreements about my painting and styles, and she would just be like, "Okay, that's it, Jared," and she would be like, "Take a palette knife and strip it." And I had to strip the entire donkey that I was painting. I was so mad, but it ended up being worth it because she taught me a valuable lesson. Take your time on things, do it right the first time, and if you don't do it right the first time, you can always go back over and correct it. Here we go. Here's a second layer of that white, and I'm going to be gentle on this one now. I'm not going to go as thick. So how's your painting coming along over there?
Mine?
Yes, sir.
I'm liking it. I'm almost done. I got a couple more things I want to do, but we're almost there.
Describe what's going on in your head for this painting.
To me, this is a bear. Somebody else, it might be a pig, but I don't care. This is about the glory of God hitting nature. And I like a lot of color. So somebody will say, well, you know, in nature, color is everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm exaggerating it, but it's there. So
yeah.
Other people don't. I mean, if I wanted to paint exactly what you saw, I take a picture. You know what I mean? That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm not interested in duplicating what exactly is out there. If you want to do that, go for it and sell prints, because you'll never make any money off that one. No, no. Honestly, though, what I'm trying to do is just paint what I feel. And I remember meeting a guy. He was painting in the streets, and he was painting these huge paintings, like 7 feet by 10 feet, great big tulips. And I went up to him, and I stood, and he was like well known in our city. I stood on the edge of his canvas, and I wanted to ask him a question just to pick his mind. And I remember saying to him, I said, that color that you got there, you don't see that in nature. He said, I didn't even want to talk to you, he says to me. He said, I thought you were one of them fine artists. I didn't even know what he meant by that. But I said, no, I ain't no fine artist. I said, why did you put that color there? He said, I saw that color. That's why I put it there. And then he began to open up a plane to me that really it's about what you feel and what you see on the inside and bringing it out in art. So that's what I'm doing with this piece. This is the feeling of the sky, the feeling of the earth, and the feeling of something crawling upon it, and then the light as it hits it. So it's really about, and this is really about me really seeing nature. And he's gone, and I'm almost done. What time is it, Joe?
It's about 2:12 or 3:12 your time. Oh, Linda, don't worry about offense. I'm not offended.
Oh, I did it again.
Huh?
I did it again. It exploded again.
Woo!
Now I sign it. Now I'm going to sign it, and I'm going to break the rules when I sign it. Because I remember somebody said to me, you should sign it down on the corner right here, nice and small. Right. I don't believe in that. No, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it like Picasso. Picasso didn't care what people thought, because he knew that his name is what they were buying that painting for anyway. So he would go like this. Put it right in the middle of the, where everybody shouldn't be seeing it because it's too much of you. But really, the signature becomes a part of the piece. Mm-hmm. Just put it wherever you want. Who cares what people think?
I'm going to put my neck right on the moon.
You shouldn't put it there. It's way too big. I'm like, yeah, you're right. It's way too big. But that then becomes a part of it.
This is true. Here we go. I kind of got a misty feel. I'm going to definitely start speeding through things now a little bit more. You've kind of inspired me to pull a Bob Ross. You know who he is, right?
I hated Bob Ross.
What?
He's a good. I hated his art. I really did. Too much. I mean, he always had that same squiggly bird in the sky. It was the same mountain, the same. You know, he painted 20,000 paintings.
Really?
But not many of them are worth more than $10,000 or $15,000. You can get a Bob Ross painting for $3,000 or $4,000. What does that say about? What does that say? To me, that says it was just okay. You know what I mean? The art was just okay. But he may become more famous yet. You never know.
He's becoming pretty popular nowadays. Like at least in our younger
Nowadays, it seems
generation.
to be becoming more popular now. But
Yeah.
yeah, you know, really, he might take on a new life now.
Here we go.
I got paint literally everywhere.
Let's see it. Stand up and show.
I don't have it on me, but I got it on my carpet. Thank you, Lord. And on the floor. When I go to sell this house, the floor of the basement will look like an abstract painting. But I may paint it. I might paint it gray. I don't know. I might leave it like that because you never know. They might love it because I might become famous or something. You know.
Shoot, I need to buy a painting from you just in case, or maybe we'll trade one day.
That's what we'll trade.
I wanted to trade one of my former master or teachers for one of hers. Her color is just it's very similar to yours, very vibrant, and love that individual expression. You are okay. So someone's commenting for you, Linda Edwards. You are the artist, so you put your signature where you want. I would love to get $3,000 for my paintings. Okay, so a fellow artist. Awesome.
You know, if you get $3,000 for a painting, you'll want it every time. And the key really is just to sell art, not worry about how much you get.
Yeah.
And then that way, I've sold paintings for $3,000. I've sold them. I haven't done it regularly, but I've done that. Yeah. And I just sold one for $700 or $800. But the Lord told me to make my art accessible to people, not to worry about prices, that he would take care of me. The key really is just to make enough money to keep on painting. That's what an artist wants to do. Mm-hmm. And so I learned to do that and make an income to be able to continue to paint. And my goal in life is to paint 6,000 paintings. I want to paint 6,000 paintings. And so to make enough money to be able to be continually painting is all I care about. Yeah. It's not about becoming rich, you know, it's about being able to do what you love to do. And I can do what I love to do. And that's the great thing. I made enough income on my art to continually to paint. And that's a blessing. My sons now already, I had one of my sons paint a moose recently, and he sold it for $400. Whoo! And he was only 11 years old.
No way.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
So they're already doing better than their dad. Because there was no way anything I made at that age would ever sell for that. Oh, I think I got paint on my face, did I? No.
No, it doesn't look. Oh, I take it back.
I got it all over.
Splotch right in the middle of your head. Oh, wait, that's just your head.
That's my head.
That's just your head. There we go. Ooh, I could paint red.
So I have that painting and then this one.
Oh, I like that one to the left. Is that water?
That's water. That's why you like it, because you like water.
Yeah, I guess that is true. I like clouds and water.
And that's why you paint in every color. Because somebody's going to say it looks like this or it looks like that, and it's going to hit their heart. You'll paint something that you won't like. Somebody else will say it. That looks exactly like the place I grew up in when I was a child. I have to have it. And so you paint. Just let it come out every color. Like that one that you're doing there. Do it in 6 or 7 different colors and watch what happens. All of a sudden, everybody will want it because, whoo! And it's easy to duplicate once you got the pattern down. And, you know, once you got the pattern. Too. Yeah. So do that in yellow. Do that in blue. Do that in green. Do it in red. Do it in pink. Do the opposite. Do like colors you don't even think you would want in there and watch. Because then suddenly you're going to go somewhere. You know, what I hear you saying about your art, this is what I hear. Yeah. You paint these things because you don't understand why, but you're drawn to this stuff. I think when you were young, you may have been in some place in nature and saw something that was absolutely beautiful, and now you're trying to recreate it. A moment that you had in your life that was beautiful. And that's what we do in art. We try to recreate emotions of the past or things that we've seen or encountered that were beautiful. This here of the bear, whew, when I was a boy, I saw bears like that in nature. And it was like one of those wild, yeah, there you go, one of those wild moments of just, it was like a glorious moment. You can never forget it. And I was just recently driving down the highway in Canada, and the bear ran across the road. You know, it's like moments that you just see and capture that you try to recreate because of the emotion of that moment. Whether it's a positive emotion or even a negative emotion. Sometimes we're painting the negative emotions, and it's good to get that out. No matter what it is, just get it out. I had a counter. I'll finish with this. I do have to move on in a second here. I have two more broadcasts today. Thank you, Lord.
Thanks for coming on.
What was it? Just let me get this thought out. Oh, I forget it. That's terrible. I just cut myself off. You know, I totally cut myself off. But painting the emotions. Yes, there we go. I had an encounter where I was in heaven. And I was in an art gallery in heaven. Now, some people out there may not have a grid for what I'm saying. I really don't care. I'm just going to tell you this, and you can process that whatever way you want. But when I was in this art gallery in heaven, I saw this glorious painting. I remember looking at it thinking, it's one of the most beautiful paintings I'd ever seen. And it was simple. It was a golden wave like the ocean. It looked like a tsunami, and it was coming straight at me, but there was the glory in it. So like a glory wave, if you will, coming at me. And I remember I just blurted out as if God was standing right beside me, God, will I ever paint anything like this? And he said, if you tell the truth. You see, one of the things that artists have difficulty doing is telling the truth. They don't want to be truthful with their art. They want to hide their true emotions or their feelings. And what you have to do in order to be remembered is just paint what you feel. Whether you know, because some people say, your paintings scare me. I don't care, because I'm painting the truth of what I feel. And if that comes out, then there's something that's emptied out of me that needed to come out. And I purge myself of something, whether it's good or bad. And that will help other people to be set free as well, because the truth will set you free. So what you want to do in your art is always tell the truth. And that may be a very heady thought, but for an artist, that would make sense.
It makes sense. It makes a lot of sense to me. That's how I've usually painted whatever I feel is going on, or whatever I feel like painting. It just ends up on the canvas. Like, oh, I'll show you all real quick a very emotional painting. You're going to have to bear with me because I'm actually coming out of my studio. And this is going to go to a painting that I did for a friend of mine. It was a very pathetic painting. It's got a lot of emotions behind it.
Love it.
This one was painted during the most emotional time in my life and the most devastating time in my life.
Oh, that's cool. It's got such texture, a lot of texture in it.
It has
beautiful. Yeah, I love it.
This was painted right after I was accused of something completely falsely, and it ended up getting turned into a legal matter. And I was forced out of my own house. And I just felt like everything around me was exploding and just going volcanic, erupting, and I couldn't control anything. And it just, I was trying to paint a beach scene for my friend, and it did not turn into a beach scene. And all of my viewers were like, just turn it volcanic. That's the way it's going. I was like, I'll have to ask my friend. And he said, yes.
Even it looks like a crow in the middle, you know what I mean? If you stand back,
right here.
It's definitely awesome. That's an awesome. How big is that?
It's a 24 by 36. It's one of the biggest ones that I've ever done.
The biggest one I ever did was 4 feet by 8 feet.
I think that's the biggest one I've done as well. It was on a big piece of. It wasn't on a canvas. It was actually on a big piece of plywood.
Yeah, I've done
I
them
was
on
doing it for
plywood.
the
This one
military.
was actually a huge canvas. It hangs in a church in Louisiana.
I'd love to see that one day. That'd be awesome.
I can send you a picture of that. That one is crazy. That one's got so much going on in it. It's the river of God flowing out of Mount Zion into a church. Just crazy. It's got angels in it, swirling portals, everything. It's really it's very childlike too.
So
Let me show you
let's,
another one of mine.
let's see it. While you're looking for it, I'm gonna see if the viewers have any questions. Oh, an owl. It looks like an owl in a galaxy up top.
That's an owl. Wait, no, where are we going? Just the eyes.
That's huge. Is that a 24 by 36?
I can't even figure out how to put it. Here we are. There we go. This is big, but all I wanted was the eyes. Because there's an intensity, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wanted to capture the look of somebody who gazes into spiritual matters. It's a seer.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who sees by the spirit, you know. I've painted about 50 owls, maybe 25 to 30 owls. I love owls.
Owls are really cool birds. Have you ever gotten to hold one?
What's that?
Have you ever gotten the chance to hold one?
Hold an owl? No.
Yeah. You've never held an owl?
No, I've never even really seen an owl. Except in the zoo. I've only seen owls in the zoo.
Well, sometimes down in Texas, you'll go to farms and they'll let you hold them. And they'll be friendly enough to let you hold them. They'll give you a big glove, like a leather gauntlet, that goes all the way up to your shoulder so that they can just grab a hold and their claws won't pierce your skin because those talons are real sharp.
There's owls all around our house, but here's one like the two Presbyterian preachers fought over.
Oh, wow.
It's called The Encounter. So it's a guy who wakes up in the middle of the night seeing something. Messes him right up.
Yeah, I can see that. That's what it looks like on his face. He's just, what on earth is happening? I think you've inspired me to look a little bit more into going crazy with my colors, just like I did when I first started back into painting and experimenting. So that piece of advice you gave about painting the same thing with like I don't know 7 different versions of color.
Yeah, you use the whole rainbow.
Yeah.
For me, my art is all about the rainbow color. You know what I mean? And I began to paint in every color of the rainbow because the rainbow everybody loves. So if you start taking the rainbow apart and putting those colors together in paintings, people are going to love the paintings because of the color. People love color. It's as simple as that. This thing is like bright, eh? My face is like all whited out, but sorry about that. But I learned to paint in the colors of the rainbow, and as I did that, then my art began to. It really took off. I mean, you look at this box. This is my paint. Back, and then all these are filled. Every color you can imagine. I even got like earth tones. Earth tones are good too. I like earth tones, and but predominantly I'm painting in the colors of the sky. But earth tones are awesome. But what I want to do is capture the feeling of the sky because the sky is the spirit realm. You know what I mean? In the second, third heaven. The colors of heaven, like you see that blue that you got going on in that painting right there.
Yeah.
That kind of blue is really what I see when I go to heaven. So it's like a revelational kind of color. So you're actually painting like a heavenly encounter there right now. That's what I would suggest. And it's like light coming into the darkness, and it's like the light is overtaking the darkness. In fact, if you look at that painting another way, it looks like the darkness is bowing to the light. And so that to me speaks and says that in your own life, that you're actually in the middle of that war, but the light is conquering the darkness. Does that make sense?
No, that's entirely accurate. We can have a conversation about that another time if you'd like.
But that's what happens with
Yeah.
art. We don't even realize it, but we're painting the emotional status that we're in the moment, you know? And,
Yeah.
and for me, this one is all about the river of God and the life of God. And the blues and the greens. And just, that's like a perfect moment to me. Those colors there represent a perfect moment. When I'm in Canada and all over the world, I've been all over the world, 38 different countries. But there are times, and my favorite time of day really is like just before and just after sunset at night. And the colors that come out, oh my word, you should see the northern skies. If you come north sometimes, come north even in the winter, and you're going to see an array of colors that you could never even imagine. Like the color of snow glowing underneath the moonlight. You can see for kilometers through the woods at night because of the way the snow glows. And it glows in many different colors. You can imagine it glows in that color. But one of the most beautiful colors that it glows in is that bluish kind of color right there. It's just gorgeous. So that's what this here painting of the eagle, that one there, I just sold that one. I'm glad I put it in a dangerous spot because I thought I might get paint on it. You know what I mean?
Turn that around real quick.
I know I should have, but I wanted it there so you could see it. But that one there is like that's just like really a person taking off into the things of the spirit. Right? To me, that's what eagles represent. They're people taking off. That one's leaping off a branch. Eagles, people love eagles. People love lions. They love cows. They love horses. If you can get into painting those, you'll sell hundreds of them. They go like that, just like that. If I paint 4 eagles for a meeting, 3 of them go like that. Bang, 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 gone.
I painted myself white.
My God, that light is so bright. Let me try to crack it off a bit.
So I wanted to show you all this before I disappeared. I kind of wanted to have your opinion on this. Like you said, the first time you looked at it, you thought it was like, how do I put this? You said you thought it was like a place you would see in Canada.
Yeah, the
But
fire one.
Now I kind of want to get your opinion on like what you would see like emotionally or spiritually, just out of curiosity for the viewers too. It's oh goodness, it's way too bright right here. So I'm gonna put it right here. I'm gonna turn it all upside down and sideways until you can get it.
Is that the same painting?
It is not the same painting.
You see, anytime I see fire like that, I mean, to me, that's the fire of God inside of a person's life. I mean, there's the river of God. You're sitting by the river. You're camped by the river of God. And, on the river of God in Revelation chapter 22, it says that there's trees planted beside the river of God for the healing of the nations. And here you are camped out near a tree by the river, the fire of God in you. And this is a place where you will find solace and healing. So you're actually finding healing through your art. You're actually tapping into the river of God. You're tapping into the tree of healing, which is like healing of the mind, healing of the spirit. So this is a good place. This kind of art that you're doing here not only will bring healing to your own life, but many people will experience that healing through that kind of art.
Believe it or not, that's actually one of the things I've been praying for privately for whenever I paint and people see this work is that they'll be healed and feel comforted by seeing these paintings, and it'll be a new experience for them
all the time. Wherever your paintings go, and if your prayer, like when I pray, my prayers for my art is they'll bring deliverance, they'll bring healing, they'll bring spiritual encounters wherever they are. People will have encounters with the Holy Spirit, and I have about 12 to 24 testimonies of how my paintings really change people's lives because of where they're placed, and that'll be your testimony too. God will do that.
And there's this one that I told you about earlier. I had to show you this one. And I'll be done once this is over. I know you got some streams to go on too.
I got 5 minutes. How's that?
Yeah, that's fine. Here we go. Oh, upside down.
We can do this
Flip it.
again too. You know, I enjoyed this. Man, that looks like a wave splashing over a cliff. You know what I mean? If you at sunset, I mean, it really looks. That's incredible. I love it.
Trying to get my body right with this thing. It's going the
What
opposite.
did you paint it as? But it looks like a wave. I come from the east coast of Canada, and I've seen waves like that crashing over rock. That's what it looks like. It's glorious. But you got a glory in that wave. That's like a glory wave coming into the earth.
It's actually
it's
about
a fire too, isn't it? It looks like a fire.
So I got a couple waves here, and then I painted this. I was kind of going back and forth between like having some figure right here, but I ended up leaving it out.
You don't need anything there, no.
No. I didn't
that
think
has
there was
emotion in it now. I mean, you don't need anything there.
It was.
You know what I do is sometimes when you feel like you want to add to a painting, don't. Just paint another one.
Yeah, whenever it's finished.
Yeah. When it's finished, it's finished. If I want to paint something else, I just begin to paint another painting. Man, I look like a ghost. Look.
Yeah, you look like you're seeing one too.
Yeah, that's right.
Sorry,
you don't scare me anymore.
No. Oh man, that what you said earlier, that kind of had a little bit of an impact on me, making things more accessible. Because I spend a lot of time on some of these paintings.
Well, you know what you do. This is what I had a friend down in Australia, and she was like that kind of artist that took 20 hours for painting and stuff like that. I love that. If you're doing that, you got to be able to create prints or something, because you're not going to make your money on a 20-hour painting, right? Yeah. It'll be beautiful, but what you want to do is give yourself a half hour and go at the canvas, and you're going to say to yourself, within a half hour, this will be done, and do 10 or 15 real fast. Like over the course of 3 or 4 days, you're going to paint 15 paintings. By the time you're done the 15th, you'll come up with a new style of art that you'll just love. But do two types of art. Do the quick art, and then do your studio art. But like you want to be able to mass produce as well. You know what I mean? You know, you want to be able to do it quick. And the quicker, and your mind begins to operate differently when you begin to paint faster. So I try to teach people to do it quick, and I appreciate those that take 20, 30, 40 hours. I mean, I love that, but that's not who I am. I'm really just really quickly creating my art. And my art is actually, if there's a perfection to art, which I don't believe there is, if there's a perfection, it comes through 1,000 paintings or 2,000 paintings, or when I get to my 3,000 paintings, somebody said, you know, a lot of times somebody will come and say, how long did it take you to paint that painting? I'll say, oh, 25 minutes. They'll go, what? I said, yeah, but it took me 40 years to learn to do that in 20 minutes. You know what I mean? Like there's a process to becoming that kind of artist that people need to appreciate. And that after 2,000 paintings, you don't really worry about whether that painting is going to be good, bad, or ugly. You just paint it because it comes out of your heart. And really, there's going to be somebody. Listen, I'm not even worried. I know that this painting will sell. There's no question within me. It's God. Every painting I do will sell. So if you can get it into your mind that everything you do has a home and it doesn't matter, then paint whatever you want in any color you want. And it gives you license and freedom to do more. And say to yourself, I can do this. I can do this in 25, 30 minutes. And continue to do those kind of paintings as well. But one of the worst things for an artist is perfectionism. It will destroy you. And I love your teacher and everything like that, but there's no student of mine that would ever hear that painting is no good, or you need to do something else in it. Because what I want to do is loose them into the creative process, and for them to find their own creative process. Because they're things that they're doing that are bad. They know that they're bad, and they're trying to figure that process out. So when they come to me and ask me questions about how do you do that, that's when I answer them. I had somebody one time, I watched them teaching somebody to paint. They went over to their painting and erased a part of their painting and then painted that part for them. I went, don't do that. You're destroying that person's creativity.
Yeah.
You're telling them that their creativity is not good enough and yours is better. Well, who are you to determine whose creativity is better or worse? Because coming out of you, there's an art that's going to come out that's going to be completely different than anybody else, but it's going to touch people's lives. And I'm way past the criticism. I couldn't care less. Somebody says to me, they say, you paint like a kid. I'm like, yeah, but I made $200,000 on my paintings in the last 15 years. How much have you made on yours? I'm past the need to be criticized. I don't care what people think anymore. I just do what I want, whether you like it or not. I couldn't care. If you're a great art teacher, how come you're not a great artist? You know what I mean? Come on now. Like you got to get to the point where your art is about what's coming out of you and not really being influenced by what other people think. I have many teachers, most of them are dead because they were the best ones. Woo! You know what I mean? Like, I get it.
Oh, yeah.
I love Monet. I love Van Gogh. I love I love that period that Van Gogh painted and all the artists that surrounded him. That time period. I love studying those paintings because I get more out of studying what they did than some artists. Whew, I'm just being honest with you. There's just a lot of art, but there's a lot that's not very good. Mm-hmm. And if you're trying to recreate a sky that you saw exactly like you saw it, I don't think you understand art. Get a camera, go out and become a photographer, because art is not about reproducing exactly what you see. Art is about healing of the heart. It's about getting the emotions out and allowing yourself to be free with your emotions. If the colors are not perfect, so what? You'll get to understand colors as you play with them.
I'm very glad we actually got the chance to come on and speak, because that you're talking my language now. Because on my broadcasts, a lot of my prior ones, I always mention, don't worry about perfectionism, because you can always go back over it. And if you don't like how something looks, you can always go back over it.
I sometimes go back into my paintings and change them a little bit, but really the perfection comes through the process of art.
Yeah.
And next time I paint that, I'm going to do this, or the next time I do a painting, I'm going to include that color. I thought that color was good with that color, so I'm going to do that more often in my next paintings. And in that way, my basement is filled with paintings. I have no idea what will happen to them, but I don't care. I just paint. And I spend a lot of money on art, and always, this is so fun, I paint by faith. I paint by faith. You know what? It costs a lot to paint. But I'll never go out and buy. I sometimes buy $600-700 worth of materials in one go to the store, and when I do that, I can paint 25-30 paintings. Mm-hmm. So I'll paint those 25-30 paints, sell 2 of them, and get that money back, and then sell 2 more, and then have money for my family, and I still got 20 paintings in the basement. Whew, that's how you got to think. Just do it. Get out there and paint. Don't worry about the cost. The money will always come for those that are artists. Those are truly art. Like Van Gogh in his life sold 1 painting. Think about that. Was never really famous in his life. 1 painting. 1 painting. He only painted 900 paintings. He didn't even paint that. I mean, I've already painted more than Van Gogh painted in his lifetime. Now, he painted 1 painting, but he loved painting, and he used to trade stuff to get the art supplies. He didn't have the money for it, but he always got the materials to do what he loved. So if you love to paint, the materials will always appear. So you can't just get out there and start painting. Stop worrying about the cost. Somebody out there is worried about that they don't have money to paint. Don't worry about it. Get out there and do it. Your art. My first art show was not in an art gallery. It was at I'm going to finish soon, but It was actually a massive yard sale with 20,000 people in it. My streets, all of our neighborhood would be turned into a massive yard sale each year. And I had a chain link fence on the other side of the road. And I went over and hooked 20 of my paintings on the fence and sold one painting that day for $20. But I was addicted to it after that. People, I remember their expressions when they would see the art. They'd go, and when I saw that expression, that was what I wanted to do. I wanted to see people come to life or have emotion when they saw the painting. And so that's why I paint, because I love seeing the emotion hit people's hearts when they see what you do. You know what I mean? When their face comes to life. Or I remember somebody going, like you took their breath away because of a painting you did. That there is what I love. That's why I paint. It's awesome. True. That's why I paint right there. I love it. Love it. And I love it when they go, oh, I hate that painting too. I literally do. I love it because it's producing an emotion, whether it's a positive emotion or a negative emotion. It doesn't matter. Or somebody will come up and say, that's not art. I said, well, what do you consider art? And then they'll begin to talk about Kincaid. Or an artist that they think is the only way to paint. And there's art teachers that are like that. They got one style of art that they love, and they're trying to reproduce it. And yet when they see something else, they're like, no, that's not art. Art is Kincaid. Thomas Kincaid is art. Well, it is art, but there's so much art. There's no one form of art. You cannot define one school of art. There's literally thousands of types of paintings. And if you're doing something that's completely bizarre and different than everyone else, you've just created a school of thought that people will try to duplicate. I literally have like 40 or 50 people trying to paint like me now because they can't believe, yes. Why? Because you messed them up. You totally messed them up. You're doing something outside of their normal framework, and that's how you'll be remembered. One of my favorite music bands when I was a young guy was U2. The band was called U2. And they said the reason why they sounded like they did is because they couldn't sound like anybody else. Are you hearing what I'm saying? The reason why you paint the way you do is because you can't paint like anybody else. So stop trying. Just be free to be yourself and do what you do. And there will be an audience for it. You'll get so good at it that people will want to study how you do it. I've literally trained 400 artists all around the world to paint, and some of them have become incredible artists, even better than I can do. But I release them into their destiny, and that's the exciting thing, is that you and I can birth other artists. We can inspire people to become artists. In his lifetime, Van Gogh might have painted one painting and only inspired a few artists, but in his lifetime of art, he's inspired generations, and many thousands of artists have tried to reproduce now what he's done. So you may in your lifetime never see the impact of the art or the true impact that your art will have, but paint anyway. Hoard it in your basement, hide it, don't care about where it goes. Someday somebody's going to come into your basement and go, my God, look at this. Look what's here. And next thing you know, it'll become the hit that it was always meant to be. So paint like the whole world is watching, and paint like nobody's watching, and paint like everybody's watching, because there will be an audience for your art.
That kind of
and I have to go.
Good.
I have to go, but I would love to come on again. I'd love to do this again. Love you, man. I'm glad to meet you. I believe in you. You keep painting. You're doing incredible stuff.
Absolutely. It's good to have you on. And everybody give him a whole bunch of likes and heart emojis. Thanks, Darren, for coming on. I will have you on sometime soon.
Yeah, bless you. Take care.
All right, y'all. So I hope y'all all enjoyed coming in on the show, on the broadcast. That's a dad talking. Yes, it is. I hope y'all all enjoyed coming in on the broadcast. It was actually a blast. That was my first collaboration with another artist, I've had a couple of other guests on here and there whenever I was broadcasting in the past, but that's the first time I've had another artist. Let me know what y'all think in the comments down below. I'll find in the comments at some point, I'll put a link of his website where you can find his artwork, and I'll leave my artwork in the comments down below if y'all don't already see it. And until the next time, I'd like to say I love y'all and thanks for showing up. God bless. Let's turn this off of the live. It's not working. There we go.